In the 1991 season, and now 2 decades on, here's their team of the past 2 decades. And Andrew, it looks a very, very strong team.
Yeah, when you look at it like that, you know, it's always very topical, I suppose. And when you come to an event like this and the selectors have a very hard task to pick what they believe is the best team. But look, it's a fantastic representation of the players that have represented, played in premierships, been outstanding servants to the footy club, and you know, some great names there that probably should have gone on and played more AFL footy, a number of those players.
A. Rogers on a half-back flank, you will note there. A team of 2 decades. It's a lot different now to what it was in 1991.
It was the 90s, you know, hair was bad, you know, a lot of mullets, and it's not just the hair too. I mean, some of the highlights, you see the shorts, you know, blokes wearing shorts today, they're not footy shorts. We wore footy shorts, and it was difficult. It was really hard to get into those footy shorts, you know, with a shoehorn most times.
It's good to see some of the footage from the 93 Premiership as well, because we don't get to see that, and we get caught up in today's footy, and there are some fantastic players and some champion players that have played at this footy club.
When you look back on it, it was pretty a quick transition to get to the end goal of winning the Premiership, but we were set up pretty well right from 91. So, you know, all of those great players combining to form one club. You know, we had Neil Barn, when he was coaching, really set the foundation and had a great group of blokes to work on that. So 93 was very quick in from a timeline perspective, but for us, we thought it was about the right time to win a flag.
The bond you form with those players you play with is just incredible. And we sit here tonight and we're like little school kids, just reliving the memories.
The analogy they use is like going to war. It's a bit like that. I mean, you've gone to battle with these blokes and you've come out the other side, so they'll always be mates.
It's expected we play in finals, so that's a good start, because that means that the younger guys, when they come into the club, that's what they know that we have to do. The 20 years of this footy club has been very successful, and you know, between the guys that played in that era and this era, they're very close, and the guys hang around the club a lot, and that's good for our younger players.
I mean, you love the footy club, you play for the footy club, and to receive something like this and in the forward pocket, it's fantastic. There's some really big names up there, and it's an honour.
And I hope these guys that do make the team understand that it is a real honour, because we've had so many good players come through this club.
It's good for our guys, especially our younger guys, to see the champions of the club and respect what they've done for the club, and hopefully they can write their own history.
2006, their premiership, and 1993, the other premiership for the Eagles since they combined Woodville and West Torrens. You see there, 5 years coach for Bruce Winter, 6 years as captain. Andrew Rogers, memories across the era?
Yeah, absolutely. It was some great times, and you really miss it, I suppose, when you're not involved with it anymore, and you can't, the body won't let you do it anymore. But look, I had a fairly good go at it, and thoroughly enjoyed. You know, it was a great concept, and I made many lifelong friends at the Eagles.
And look, one of the things that always gets a club together too, not only these nights, but I did notice the name in 2001 inscribed there, Jamie Tate, and he lost a battle with cancer.
Yeah, he did, unfortunately. He won the battle with cancer, and then unfortunately took a lot out of his body. But look, he was a fantastic bloke, played in the 93 Premiership, went away, came back, and was you know, fantastic, very tragic, taken away at such a young age, and such is his influence on the club that he's probably played 4 or 5 seasons and made that team of the 2 decades. So he's and unfortunately it just happened too short for Jamie Tate.
Absolutely. Well, it wasn't a memorable third quarter, as we said. I wonder what Michael Godden thought. He's the Eagles coach and he's with Sodas.
Well, Michael, geez, a cracking first half's put you in a really nice spot.
Yeah, look, I mean, we asked the questions of the boys at the start of the game to see what we can produce, and it's been a good first half. Third quarter, kick 1-4, wasn't great in front of the sticks, but yeah, the intensity's there, and we're breaking into space, and I'm just hoping we can maintain that intensity.
What was that message at three-quarter time, to continue that, and have you changed anything up at all?
Nah, not at this stage. We just go back to the way we started the game, and we want to keep playing good footy at this time of year. We're not in a position to be changing too much.
Guys, thanks for joining us. Good luck in the last quarter.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks to Michael Godden for being available. It's interesting. It is the story of the Eagles and the way they play, isn't it? 8 goals in the first half, and then they seem to just, we'll grind.
Yeah, they have, and they really need to adapt the killer instinct here now. They've got their foot on the throat. It's time to put it away.
And give the Bays any hope.
No, not really. Look at those stats from the third quarter. 17 inside 50s to 3. I just can't see. They're not playing with any passion, any commitment, any will, any want. It's just, I don't want to be too damning, but I haven't seen anything to inspire me today from the Bays.
Stand by Bays fans, though. Can tell you, of course, that the Eagles didn't finish well against Centrals last weekend. So stay with us. They're down by plenty as we go to Michael Maney for the final two.
And the Bays also, Neil, had a bit of a fade out last week, didn't they? So we don't really know what we're going to get in this last quarter. But it was nonetheless a good performance by Glenelg last week, and I think they were outscored 6 goals to 3 in that last term. But they got home. Last quarter, it's a lead of 47 points to the home side. Woodville West Torrens. Away we go. Ball just knocked down. Kirkby couldn't quite snare it. Early goal to be handy. Here's Kennedy. He may provide. Grimer had it spent before he got there, but I think Kennedy was infringed upon after he got rid of the footy to Grimer, and Ben Kennedy knows time's on the wing, goes with a little chipping ball to Kane Corns. Corns has got to get around. He did so, shrugged the tackle, then the handball's a real looper, and Corns has got some work to do here. Kennedy just giving it off to Corns, and could have kicked it deep into play, and the ball is just inside the line still. Only a little part of it was over the line. It needs to be totally across the line, and the umpire will come in and bounce. Pretty awkward here for the umpire facing the boundary line, and of course you can't knock it out on the full. Cranston did well. In goes Sikalella, spun in the tackle to Nace. Kane, Ruwalt had plenty of commitment. Day, Jared, Goldsworthy finds some space. Those left footers, they get you every time. Day has to flick it back to Jared. So good pressure by Glenelg early. How long will it last? McKenzie with a piercing ball finds Sutcliffe on the outer side. A real wobbler. Lane, judged it well, and then couldn't quite complete the mark. Rudolph just with a little dinky kick in front of himself. Then goes with a left footer. Just a real bouncing ball. Sutcliffe just composed, got it to Powell. And Powell is a couple of kicks from goal, you'd suggest. Then just decides to give it off to Thompson. Thompson just pulled the kick a bit, and Curran got a nice little fist on it away from Staple. It'll be a boundary throw-in.
And we spoke about Mark McKenzie, about his composure across half-back and how he probably never got to the next level, but he has stood out like a beacon in this game just with his ball usage and his decision-making and how he's hit targets. It's just really stood out when a number of players haven't been able to just to be creative enough, but also haven't had the ability to actually hit those targets.
Stoppage inside 50. Comes over the back. Bradley taken down. Umpire let it go. Staple over the ball. Surely that... Oh, well, I thought he dragged that one in. He hovered over it for a moment and then decided to fall on it. Bradley, well, interesting disposal too. And ball down. Sutcliffe looked like he was held. Curran slipped it out. Bradley, Tenace, Kane, Corns, and then wide he went for Ruwalt. Needs to hit the lead up. He went to the skipper, and the skipper had the ball knocked away from him, Mules, by Grieger. And Chris, to three-quarter time, some of the leading stat winners.
For the Eagles, Jared and Powell leading on 23, Lewis on 20, and for Glenelg, Kane Corns 33, Tenace 18, Mules 14.
Yeah, it's interesting that Kane Corns had 33 possessions, but accumulated, but hasn't really hurt the Eagles too much. Quick kick out finds Lane. Lane's desperate to get it to Broadbent. It hovered and it bobbled. Then Broadbent's got another man in Goldsworthy in space, touched off the boot by Rudolph. Goldsworthy needs to use his right. That's a good kick. Lane working back into the space. And the delivery was good. And Travis Lane, he's booted a goal in the second quarter. That man will be happy, Mick Godden, if Travis Lane can boot this goal, really put it beyond doubt.
Yeah, you talk about the composure under pressure. Matthew Goldsworthy, you can see there, he's a 200-game player for the Eagles. He's going to play a lot of footy here. Probably not going to get to the next level, but just his composure there is fantastic for a young player.
Travis Lane, it's a wobbly old ball off the boot, but it's gun barrel straight. And that's what the Eagles would have wanted. The first goal of the quarter. And it's a 53-point margin.
There's not too much emotion in the box here. You realise it's been a hard day at the office. Look, he would be content with where the game actually is. And there's Goldsworthy, just didn't panic with the footy. Seems he's got plenty of time there. And just some good vision. Lane, who's worked fairly hard as a forward, probably hasn't got the rewards that he deserves, but he has complimented Hall and Goldsworthy in their forward line.
Hard to believe. This is third place against fourth, and the Eagles have really fixed up the Tigers.
Play on, play on!
Kane Corns with a clearance, gain maybe 20 metres, we'll get another ball up. Still the ball inside the centre square. Tigers' confidence, Andrew, must be dented considerably by this sort of loss.
Yeah, and amazingly last week they kicked 20 goals and win a hard-fought contest and, you know, have a real crack. This week I haven't seen anything to say that they haven't even having a crack and that they've got the composure or the confidence to actually take the game on.
Here's an indication of how their players have worked hard. Tiller down the line, he had 3 players to choose from. Powell with an interesting handball. Sikalella got it. And Sikalella inside 50. Nice finish. Will that be 25? Umpire said yes. And I believe, looking at Lane, he may have done a shoulder in that incident. So a couple of players coming in and remonstrating, and Brad Agnew didn't come off all that well either. You see him there crouching down. So after the mark was taken, the umpires ruled that it was a front-on hit, and as such, it'll go back to near the goal square, and Lane will get his opportunity to drive through a goal. He's recovered sufficiently to take his kick. Sam Rudolph on the mark. And this will be 2 in a row for Travis Lane. And he did smooth it in. It was a much better kick, actually, than his last one, but nowhere near as straight.
No, it wasn't. And look, he's been, as I said, he's a valuable forward up there, struggled to make his way into this side. As I said, played as a 16-year-old under Ron Fuller's regime and showed plenty of promise, stayed under 18 football, just hasn't taken the next step through injuries, but also struggled to make his way into this side this year. You can see that his value today has been leading up forward, working hard to keep the ball in the forward line, but also has been a pest.
So on the road to the finals, they need a Lane?
Yes. I think he really complements their forward line, you know, with Goldsworthy and Ullman and Hall and those type of players. He's very much a crumbing forward, but he can play that lead up as well.
Speaking of Hall, we haven't seen him for a while. Mark on the boundary down there might just have a check. We haven't seen Chris Hall grace the field for a little while. Mules tries to fish it out. Taken by Neil. Oh, that's a good step by Neil. He's 50 metres out, goes for home, gets plenty on it, and he's just missed away to the left. It's a 58-point margin at Woodville West Torrance's home ground, and there's Agnew taking a rest, the man with the lovely red hair.
A little bit easy for the Eagles transitioning. Hoban's been all right in ruck this afternoon too, shown some promise. Former basketballer, hasn't played a lot of league football. Just in his 13th game this afternoon, Peter Hoban. Kirk, well, interesting disposal. Staple for the Eagles, and then good disposal by McKenzie, and then off to Raymond, and down to half forward he goes. Broadbent got his man under the ball. The bounce favoured Bradley, and he's taken to ground, and we'll get a ball up. 40 from the Eagles' goal, but again, just that work through the midfield, Andrew, able to push the ball forward. It's a concern for Chris Massey, although he doesn't necessarily show it on his face there. And the man to his left, Kenny McGregor, former teammate at the Adelaide Footy Club.
It would be a challenging a day, I suppose, for an interim coach with aspirations to actually move into the senior role today, and as frustrating as what you could probably find.
Rudolph with a real up and under. Hoban couldn't quite take the mark. Over the top, did pretty well to get to Lewis, and then Thompson is the link man. Thompson just pulled the kick a little bit, looking for a Grokey mark. He was up against three base players. Broadbent did pretty well. Goldsworthy wanted his left, then fed it out to Lane, who's kicked a couple of last quarter goals. And there's that composure again, Andrew. Not to panic with the football and to measure a kick. Lewis now goes to Powell, and I would say that the wheels for Glenelg have well and truly fallen off the cart, and Luke Powell will stick another spike into the heart of the Bays.
Yeah, they've been able to dissect the zone, and they haven't held it as disciplined as what they would have liked, and they've been able to move the ball forward. And then Grokey drew a crowd of 3 or 4 players against him, had those crumbing forwards buzzing around, and eventually it ends up with Luke Powell with a 45 directly in front shot. Only booted 4 goals this year, Luke Powell, and he's got a nice bit of hook on this, and it's away to the left. It's a 59-point margin.
Bayes waiting, looking for lead-up targets. Lyons plays on, comes across goal. Playfield, and then Neal. They need to break a line, though. They just haven't been able to do it consistently. So Neal decides, well, we'll go back defensively and head out the other side. Penosa. He's got Alex Grimer. Alex Grimer's got Tenace working through the corridor, and as he was held up, he'll get 25. Umpire Richard Williams will take Alex Grimer to centre wing, and he can play on. Nobody on the mark, and he does so. Down to half forward, he looks for Kirkby, sets it out in front of him. 2-on-1 when Kirkby does pick it up. Can he scramble it forward? He did pretty well towards Cranston. He'll always work hard. Cranston, and Broadbent comes across and takes a nice defensive mark for the Eagles. They decide, though, to go out, and it's far too easy for them exiting their defensive zone as Lewis goes across the centre square. Allman takes off, and right on cue, Michael, you mentioned Chris Hall. Here he is at half forward with plenty of pace. Curran might be struggling with a hip, so Hall takes him on, goes to the goal face, and wow, that would have been incredible, but he just didn't have the angle right.
Yeah, hadn't seen him for a while. He's just hiding down in the interchange bench. Panozzo, short. Kane Corns just kicks it to Lyons. He's about to get caught, got the kick away, and Kane thumped away by Jared. Good courage by Ben Kane to keep his eye on the football, and he's in a bit of trouble behind play. I think Lyons might have won a free kick, nothing doing. Away it goes to Roundtree. Nicely done to Jared. Jared will pump it inside 50. And over the back, no mark taken. Well done, Grokey. This is what he's very good at, wheeling around on the right foot. Kirk did well. The target was Staple, but Kirk just got a fist on it and hit it to the line. It's a wobbly old ball. It would have been difficult for Staple to mark, as Ben Kane has really had the stuffing knocked out of him here. Look at that, right in the back. They're smart. Kept his eye on the ball, though. Seller knocked it down, trying to chase it. McMahon, who hasn't had it all his own way today. Seller to Bradley, back to Curran. And Curran's kick. Now Mills tried to get a run at it, but the skipper of the Eagles was very, very good to take the mark, and his short kick has found Jarrett.
Look, Jarrett, left footer, looks towards the corridor, and the lead-up option. Allman, we know he's got a thumping kick. If he can get a run at it, he also tends to hook the ball. Thompson hovering, says, I can make this distance even if you can't. And so does Tiller, and Tiller is a thumping kick, and look at that. Wow!
He's back, I reckon.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic team play, but fantastic knowing your capabilities of your teammate. And he's had his best game in the SANFL today. He's certainly started brightly. That's well outside 50. And that's gone through three-quarter goalpost high. So he's kicked that 60, 65 metres on the run. He's wound it up. As I said, that's his best day. He's had 12 kicks and 10 handballs today. As I said, across half-back, been exceptional. Started the game really brightly. and continued his good form. I mean, the Eagles are now starting to get the reward from the third quarter. They really didn't put the game away, and they're just starting to put their foot firmly on the Glenelg throat.
Glenelg's lowest score ever against the Eagles is 4 goals, 6:30. They're in a fair bit of danger at the moment.
Yeah, they could be, Chris. Well pointed out. Thompson formed part of that stable defence for the Eagles, and a very rebounded defence too. Powell, such a good player. Heard the call from Lewis, got it to him. Lewis, clever stuff, through the middle. Roundtree can run. He's about to get tackled. He knows when to get rid of it. Running forward is Jared. He won't take his eye off the footy. Couldn't complete the mark, though. Allman, it flicks back to Jared. Jared in space, drills the kick and does it beautifully to Lane. And Jared keeps on running, and Lane could pop it over the top to really make sure of it. But he's had his kicking boots on today. Chris Massey's had his problems. Back to the drawing board, you would say, for Chris. Good win last week, but this has been less than acceptable today. Travis Lane. Booted 3. He's got 4. Well, he just bobs up, the young man, and forms part of a very nice bit of plumbing quartet up there, if you'd have to say. And Travis Lane gets 4, and amazingly, it's out to a 71-point margin.
Disappointing effort there, and I don't want to name players, but Luke Panozzo, you're a senior player at this Glenelg Footy Club. You needed to at least make body contact without even hitting the ball. He's run past it, allowed Jared to get past him, and Travis Lane just gets an easy hit-up goal. Had an exceptional 3 in the last quarter.
Sorry to Tiger fans, I may have led you astray about the performance of the Eagles last week. They actually went 4 goals apiece against Centrals. They actually let themselves down in the third term, beaten 7 goals to 2. This afternoon they're going to win the 4th quarter. Fantastic mark by Grokey. So Grokey will go back, and he already has 3 this afternoon, so he can add to his tally. As I said, Travis Lane leads the way for the Eagles with 4 goals.
It's out of the textbook, that centre bounce down to the rover. He breaks out of the middle, hits the full forward up.
Well, Bays in the second half have managed all of 2 behinds, and they have had their behind kicked well and truly by the Eagles this afternoon. So Grokey to take the score into the 90s. A protracted silence, and then Grokey completes a beautiful kick. So he has 4 for the afternoon, and the Eagles are just bolting away.
Yeah, it's great centre work by Jared Red. 2 young players, the future of the Eagles. Redden, there goes Redden down to Roundtree. Look, Angus Roundtree probably found a little bit more pace, but his kicking probably lets him down occasionally, particularly when he goes on his left. But fantastic protection of the ball, with the ball kind of dropped there by Grokey, and a good finish.
Tell you what, boys, the Eagles forwards must love the TV games at the moment. Last game against West Adelaide, round 17, 19 marks inside 50-3. Today, 24 marks inside 50-3.
It's been comprehensive, Chris, hasn't it? And it's 77 points, the margin. It's, well, you wouldn't think it's 3rd up against 4th. The Eagles with a 9-7 record coming in. It's been pretty comprehensive and damning for the Bays. Taken by Tiller out of the centre. Booming kick. Lane, clever in front of Panozzo. Panozzo's right with him. Lane's trying to play for a free kick, didn't get one. Curran fed it out nicely. Tenace just too easily knocked off the ball by Sikalella. Here's Goldsworthy. This way, that. Back to Tiller. He got a free kick. Advantage was paid. Tiller, smart and clever. Got it to Allman. Here's Jared. You can just jot this one down. He will kick a goal. No, he won't. Hit the post. We've seen him do that so many times in his SANFL career. Luke Jared.
Yes, had all the time in the world. Just started at the right-hand goalpost. Needed to start at the metre inside the left-hand goalpost, and then his natural left-foot draw, bring it back.
Andrew Rogers, who's had assistant coaching positions at the Eagles and also at Westies.
And at Sacred Heart as well.
And I spent some time with Sacred Heart. The College of Champions, they say. A lot of players recruited to AFL clubs from Sacred Heart College, including the Collins brothers. Sikalella, meanwhile, takes the mark for the Eagles. He'll send them back towards their attacking 50. I don't think he's got the leg to take them all the way to the attacking 50. He goes for Raymond. Strong mark away from Playfield. Down to half forward he goes. And Redden is able to just trot to the ball in the end. McKenzie available top of the 50 arc, but he instead goes short for Travis Lane. And right now, they are being dissected, the Tigers. It's like pulling wings off flies, though, isn't it? They're just not giving anything, the Bays, at the moment, as Broadbent props it up high. Jared will get a leap. And he pulls down the mark and will go back and have a shot at goal. It's that easy.
Yeah, it just has to be a kick to the favoured side, and Broadbent just set that up. Knows Jared's marking power up against Rewald. Now he's a taller, more experienced, stronger body, beautifully judged. He's had a very good day today, Luke Jarrett.
Well, one of their Victorian duo, and, well, it's more than that, I suppose, but one of their Victorians in Lee Treby will be heading back home at the end of the season, but Luke Jarrett very much a part of the scene here at Oval Avenue, having come from Williamstown. He knows how to kick a goal. Wasn't a bad celebration either from those boys, and they are comprehensively thumping the Bays.
Yes, they are. They've worked the ball forward. There's a Broadbent kick. Just to a one-on-one contest, and it kicked it away from a lot of the Glenelg tools to the favoured side. Jared, as I said, he's had a fantastic day. Started really brightly, and then it's just continued his form. Used the ball really well for most of the day.
Unfortunately for Glenelg fans, the only statistical category they're winning today is turnovers direct to opposition, 26-23.
Yeah, not the one you want to be in front by. Kirk got the knockdown to Tenace, but there's a stalemate in the middle. Here's a trivia question for you, Chris. When was the last time that Kane Corns played in a winning team? And he'd be getting sick of these thumpings because he's been on a few with the power. Here's Sutcliffe. Got it away to Goldsworthy. In fact, Roundtree got it to him. And then Goldsworthy was dealt with after. And Ben Kane, a bit of a drive-by too. And it may be a 50-metre penalty. And then Luke Powell comes in, and it may just get reversed. Umpire Richard Williams is coming in, and he's still saying, no, it's 50. And there's probably about the most aggression you would say that Glenelg have shown all day, really, because... And then they've just decided to engage in a bit of push and shove.
But if you're an Eagles player now, there's nothing to be gained out of this, out of the game. You take your goal, you move on, you walk away. And if you're interested to see the reaction now, see whether Chris Massey is prepared to put up with that undisciplined act. You know, he's been undisciplined after he kicked the goal. So for me, he needs to come off the ground and have a chat with the coach to say, you're a senior player at this footy club and you need to lead this group by example. But there's Luke Powell coming in late. Look, he's probably fairly lucky there.
Yeah.
But there's no need for Luke Powell to do that. If you've got control of the footy, you're going to kick a goal. Just get on with the game.
Can you believe it's 90 points, the margin? It's quite unbelievable, really.
The thing was, Ben Kane didn't do a very good job of putting down the player anyway, so I don't know. All much ado about nothing. Chris Massey looking less than impressed, as is Ken McGregor.
Just got to wonder where their leadership is. Now, Ben Mules can only do so much. They have a lot of experienced players. Well, Cranston's tried hard as well, but there's a lot of players that have played 50 to 70 to 80 games here. And they had their chance to stand up today and unfortunately let their club down.
Powell, and then a beautiful hand pass finds Goldsworthy from Roundtree, but Goldsworthy couldn't get away. Kennedy hasn't done much for a while. Kennedy with a couple of bounces ran a long way, popped it over the top. Kane was attacked. Hoban was slipping out the hand pass. Now McKenzie still got a little pace in those legs, but was quick to try and hand it off. Redden over the top. And then they'll break through Allman, and he will thump another goal. They're closing in on a 100-point margin. It's 96 points, 22 and a half minutes, final quarter. Oh, this is just flat out embarrassing for the Bays.
It is when you can give a 20-metre forward handle to a bloke who's stationary, and he can wheel around and do what he wants, and then kick a goal from just inside 50. But as I said, they're dispirited. But the Eagles, to their credit, are maintaining a high standard here in this last quarter and have really put the game away.
The last 11 goals the Eagles have kicked in the match. The last goal for Glenelg was a pretty simple one to Ruwalt, running into an open goal at the 22-minute mark of the second term. Corns gets it forward. Lyons slung in the tackle. The handball just comes out. McKenzie just hovering over it. Surely a free kick to him. Clayfield was over the top. Kane comes in. The defence working beautifully of the Eagles. Tiller was over the footy. No free kick. Umpire Williams will call for a ball up. It's just been quite incredible.
2 points for the half for the base.
Yeah. There's Lee Staple, is it? Getting some ice, getting early day. Kane Corns, Kirkby, Neil, threw it on the boot, and was it touched? It was. Aaron Day right there. And it's now a 95-point lead, and I wonder whether the Eagles, Andrew, will sing the song out on the ground at the end of the game. Maybe not.
There might have been some motivation there from the last time they met.
Yes, for those of you who didn't know that, it was Chris Massey, in his role as interim coach, decided that after they, well, it must be said, they scrambled to a win by 2 points at Brighton Road and then sang the song on the ground, the Bays. And clearly the Eagles weren't too happy about it, and they've let their football do the talking this afternoon. There's what happened in round 15. Snouts, louts, and all the Bay boys enjoying a song, which they will not sing this afternoon. Another clearance goes to Lewis, and then high from Jared, and who wants to get under it? Well, Sikalella stood his ground. Lewis took it away, just released the hand pass, and umpire spotted a free kick for Lewis for too high. Jared Ormond has slipped forward and takes the mark. As soon as he saw which way the umpire pointed, he had his hand in the air himself, saying, "Give it to me."
Yeah, good attack on the footy. We saw Sikalella and Lewis basically clash in a fight for the ball, and then just good play on quickly, good movement. And that's about knowing Lewis's what side of the body he kicks on. The easiest kick for him is out to the left. He actually gets into that space and makes it an easy kick for him.
So Jared Ormond at the 25-minute mark has a chance to stretch the lead beyond 100 points. And he has no troubles. 101 points, the margin.
Yeah, so the route just continues, and as I said, you can't help but be impressed by the Eagles in this last quarter. They've really put their foot on the throat and taken it away. He's just a good player, and it would have been quite easy for Lewis to go back and try to assess a better option. He's moved the ball quickly. He's honoured the Ormond work rate to get down the ground, and Jared Ormond's finished off a good day for him with some great goals in the last quarter.
I reckon this is close to an SANFL record, boys. Most difference for marks inside 50, 27-3, and so far the margin for the last two Eagles televised games is up to 185 points.
Yes, the Eagles. Well, I've always maintained that if they get everything together, they are a big threat in 2011. They've showed us a bit of a glimpse of it today. Tiller couldn't get through and still being held onto by Grimer, and the ball was held to him, says Richard Williams, and another ball up. Redden in the ruck, just over the top to Goldsworthy. They want a bit more. They've been sniffing blood for a while, the Eagles. In front, the veteran, Sikalella, takes the mark. Wants to go on with it. He's got Jared up there. Jared can't complete the mark. Bradley was there. Jared pounced on it again. And a couple of Bays players in Seller and Curran pounce on him. Another ball up, 27 minutes gone. And we've seen 9 goals in this final term. So I reckon we'll see a reasonably long quarter. Kennedy, head down, got the kick away. Bouncing ball. Tenace took the body. Kane, feed it back. Lovely little handball by Curran. Finds Lyons, back to Tenace. Neil's on his own on the wing. Neil's got to go. And this is what has happened today. Stop-start. Poor disposal. Tiller just slapped it nicely to Raymond. Broadbent, fed it back to Tiller. Let's see what you can do on your left. Not too bad. Put it out in front of Sikalella. He leaves it for Powell. Powell, this way, that way. Back to Lewis. Lewis, brilliant smother. That was terrific. Mules came. Luke Panozzo was the smotherer. It goes to Lyons, then to Neil, and Neil's kick is not the best. Let's have a look at the Luke Panozzo smother here, and late in the game, he hasn't redeemed himself from before, but desperate stuff.
And that's better leadership from Luke Panozzo and a senior player to say that he's prepared to put his body and his commitment on the line.
Here's Lewis again, has the footy, spears it to the centre, and Thompson got a runner on the outer side in McKenzie, decided to go it alone, then fed it to McKenzie. McKenzie has got a wheel around, then threads it back nicely to Day. Day, couple of kicks from goal, punches it to Goldsworthy. Agnew did well with courage. Then got it to Bradley. Bradley chips it short, and there is a story as Roundtree just drops into the gap. Another turnover, and Chris Kendall's been on fire with those turnovers. There's a bit of smoke coming from his pen because Roundtree is going to line up for goal from 45. Angus Roundtree hasn't kicked a goal. He wants to get in on the party.
And Michael, more turnovers than a bakery today, I would suggest.
Very much so, Chris. It has been a poor display by the Bays. Roundtree to stick another nail in. A dagger into the heart of the Bay faithful. Roundtree gets his first. It's a whopping 107-point lead. And Andrew Rogers, I came to the ground today thinking this would be a close game and a real cracker, but it's just been a complete blowout.
Yeah, you've got to be disappointed. It was a very big game for the Bays today. They had an opportunity to push themselves up to third spot, get the double chance, but also make sure they play finals, and they just haven't come to play. They're dispirited, and the Eagles, to their credit, as I said, they've put on a showcase today.
Kane Corns has faded, but still leading possession getter on the ground, 39 touches.
Kirk working hard in the middle, and that's it. It's the biggest margin of the season, and a massive last quarter from the Eagles. You talk about dispirited. The Bays' worst performance against the Eagles in terms of their score, the lowest score against the Eagles, 19-11-125 to 2-6-18, 107-point massacre handed out to the Bays by the Eagles, who have, well, for all intents and purposes, sealed a double chance.
Yeah, they have sealed the double chance today. There's virtually no one can get past them unless they'd have to lose their last 3 games of the season. And on today's form, you said they thoroughly deserve to be challenging Norwood Centrals. And on today's form, you say it's a 3-horse race. You can't see the Bays coming back from today's game and mounting a challenge for this year's finals. You think South Adelaide and West Adelaide and Port Adelaide, they're around the money, but they're not going to challenge the top 3. So it looks as though it's a top 3 race. The Eagles were comprehensive today. They certainly had a lot of contributors. Every player played their role. They understood the game plan, and they executed it fantastically well. For Glenelg, I just really can't find too many positives out of the day's day. Kennedy was good. And Kane Corns, you know, look, as much as was detrimental to him, I think he played a fantastic game.
One of the better players down back, Ben Grieger, dominated actually in defence for the Eagles. And he had 6 marks, 5 kicks, 4 handballs, but it was just his performance down the back which was poised and positive for the Eagles, unheralded. He's a teacher earlier this season. Mark Soderstrom, he was actually playing against one of his students.
He was, yes, and a man impossible to get a kick on this man, Benny Grieger. Congratulations. Good to see you back now. The knee's all good?
Thanks, mate. Yeah, cherry ripe. No worries at all.
Now, just at your defence, I was having a look at it. Obviously, Aaron Day's playing some good footy. You've had Luke Jarrett at times down there. Lukey Thompson, you've got a nice blend of some pace and some hard nuts like yourself there.
Yeah, we sure do, mate. Yeah, we spread it around pretty well, and every bloke just does their role, and we're going well at the moment. We've got a lot of blokes that can chip in and just do roles back there, so it's good.
Of course, when you played the Bays last time, you did go down by a couple of points, and they got out and sang the song after the game. So a bit of motivation to get them today.
Yeah, exactly. We spoke about that, and we thought today, you know, no holds barred. We'll just get out there and play some ruthless footy, and I think we did, so it's good.
Absolutely ruthless, Benny. What about the score? That's quite amazing.
Yeah, 100 points plus. I mean, we'll take that. It was great. Yeah, the boys were just all over it up forward.
Now, that should just about start that double chance?
Yeah, I reckon so, mate. I mean, we're not going to take the foot off at all, but, yeah, really pleasing.
I know we don't look too far ahead with finals, of course, but you've obviously beaten Norwood twice, and you've taken up the Central as well. You're in a good position this year, I reckon.
Yeah, I reckon, yeah. Well, I mean, we're really confident about what we can do as a team. I mean, we've got a great bunch of blokes. We put 4 quarters of footy together like we did today, and we know we've got what it takes.
Benny, do you reckon going into the finals, of course, last year, do you reckon this year you guys are better placed as a team now under God's in his second year?
For sure, yeah, you know. We are more used to God's coaching style. We've really gelled as a playing group. The blokes that have come into the team are giving us plenty, so definitely, yeah.
Tell you what, it's becoming a good place too for guys playing at their second and third clubs, the Eagles, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure, mate. You know, I mean, yeah, Louis and I played together at Westies, and he was from the Bays, and now we're here, and Daisy from the Bays, you know. Yeah, it's really good. Godsy gets the most out of us. It's good.
Certainly is. Well, you got the most out of you today, mate. Well done. No one can get a kick on you. Good stuff.
Thanks, Sodas. All the best, mate. Ta.
Chris Massey still frustrated by copping a 107-point hiding this afternoon. The only other margin that gets anywhere near that this season, of course, 100 points when Norwood beat Port Adelaide in round 8. But Chris Massey, very hard to digest. And we talked about the fact as a caretaker coach to cop that sort of hiding when you're still sitting in 4th place.
Yeah, all the feedback is that he's going to be anointed as the next Glenelg coach. You wonder what damage that does to his credentials today. You know, they were dispirited. They didn't come to play. You just wonder a little bit about whether or not he's the right man for the job, or whether or not they need to explore other alternatives to Chris Massey.
Let's talk about the positives for the Eagles. Potential turned into performance this afternoon.
Yeah, finally, they've struggled through the year for continuity of players and try to get games in players. We've seen, Parry reported, Sikalella reported, injuries, etc. They're starting to get their group back together. If they can maintain this group together for another 3 weeks, get into the finals. I said they firmly believe, and they've got the belief after today, that they can challenge both Norwood and the Dogs.
The other thing too, of course, they had going for them, well, at times it's been a positive, at times a negative, but they have a lot of players on AFL lists.
They do, and it does tend to mess with them a little bit, but a lot of the times they've actually been recruited from the club, so they're actually an Eagles culture type player. We saw Matthew Broadbent, who would feel very familiar when he comes back into the Eagles footy club, and he understands the players, where if they're an AFL player, perhaps like Kane Corns today, hasn't played a lot of footy with the Glenelg players today, doesn't understand their structures, doesn't have a relationship with the coach. So it's very difficult for Kane Corns to come back in the team, where Matthew Broadbent today probably knows and played a lot of footy with some of these players.
Well, in the case of Broadbent, I think he played in the 06 Premiership from memory. Anyway, we'll go down and hear what will be a raucous song. Eagles very happy at redressing a 2-point loss to the Bays in round 15, and Andrew vigorously shaking his head at the idea that Matthew Broadbent had played in that 06 Premiership. I was trying to do my maths and work out, because they do have a habit of putting 16, 17, 18-year-olds, guys like Matthew Stokes, who came through the Eagles in finals. So it is a trend for those at Oval Avenue to come through young. Let's have a look at what unfolded this afternoon, and certainly a reasonably even opening term, but the Eagles started to blow it out, up by 6 goals by half-time. 3rd quarter forgettable, 4th quarter definitely forgettable for the Bays.
Yeah, the first half never really rose to any great expectations, and early in the game, the Eagles really struggled to get it through the defensive zone of the Bays, and the Bays went inside 50 a number of times and couldn't really put the score on the board, and the Eagles were eventually able to penetrate. And this is all in the first quarter, to a miraculous goal here from Chris Hall. He was very lively in the first half. He certainly set the scene, and Grokey started to come into the game. And when the Eagles did get through the zone, you can see here they kicked their goals relatively easy.
The zone relies surely on discipline to pick up players running through the zone. A problem for the Bays this afternoon.
Yeah, and Chris Massey spoke about it before the game. He said their zone had certainly broken down, and that's a discipline thing, or not a non-understanding or a teaching thing that's not getting through to the players. So they certainly need to spend some more time on that. But when the Eagles really dissected it, certainly in the 2nd, 3rd and last quarters, some of the running goals you can see there from Jared Orman, they were very decisive and picked their way through. And I thought their leadership players like Jared, McKenzie, Sikalela, Grokey, they're better players and they're more established players, really led the way with composure with the footy, but also with some really good decision-making and use of the footy.
Tigers, and we see some of that use there. Tigers still likely to play finals. How much do you draw, though, out of an Eagles performance where they win by 107 points? It was comprehensive, it was over a final side, but then again, how much pressure was really put on them.
Yeah, and that's a very good point you make there. You know, the game today is not played under finals type pressure. That it's really a blowout day. Once the game was gone, 10 goals in front, it became really witches' hats. And to be fair to the Eagles, they certainly put the score on the board, and they were able to put Glenelg away when they had that opportunity. If you're a base, you've just got to write today off into Chris Massey. You may not even review it then today. You know, you might say, look, let's just move on, boys. We'll have a training run in the morning, and then we'll walk away and go. But 10 goals to 10-2 to 2 points in the last quarter would be fantastic for Michael Godden. He would love that scoreline to say that they've really put a team away and maybe mentally inflicted some sort of wounds on the Bays should they play him in the finals. Goal kickers one-sided. You know, Lane had a great game. Grokey both with 4. Hall with 3 was dynamic early. Allman with 3 in the last quarter. Jared, Roundtree and Tiller all with 1. And for the Bays, Tanase and Ruwald in the first half.
Absolutely. Well, it was a disappointing afternoon. Stats will reflect that as well. Eagles took the lead at the 9-minute mark of the opening term, never surrendered it.
Yeah, some damning statistics there, you know. And if you're a Bay supporter, it's not about their ability, it's just about how they want to compete. And they really haven't competed as strongly today, so the stats indicate that they haven't competed strongly.
Chris Massey still sitting in the box, going through a few things, no doubt, with maybe a wry smile with Kenny McGregor. And down in the rooms already, Michael Godden's had an opportunity to celebrate with his players, and he's with Sodas now.
Well, Mickey, congratulations. Pretty emphatic performance there. You happy with the way you closed it out? Those 10 goals was great.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said to you, at three-quarter time, to kick 1-4 in the third was a bit disappointing. We had plenty of the play, and you know, that type of game can go either way, can't it? So to finish them off was very pleasing.
One thing we noticed too, Luke Jarrett, of course, got to be released back into the midfield he's been good at down in defence as well, but boy, it made a difference, didn't it?
Yeah, look, he's a quality player, isn't he? And he gave us plenty of run, even went forward late just to have a bit of a go up there, but he just runs the line so well. He's so hard to man up on, and he's pretty composed under pressure. So, yeah, he was back to his best today.
I know you don't want to look too far ahead, but you can tick one box. Pretty much it looks like the double chance is yours.
Yeah, well, we've got one more to win. But, yeah, I would imagine that we're in a good position. And if we can secure that as quickly as possible, it gives us a good chance to get our planning right, make sure that our players are in tip-top condition for that first final.
Michael, Neil Cross upstairs. Look, you struggled in attack, it must be said, this season. I think you're ranked 7 in the league coming into this match. This afternoon, obviously free-flowing. Andrew and I were talking before about where do you place it? Do you say, well, the Bays weren't good enough to stop us and we've improved, or do you just say, look, it was a thrashing and we'll move on to next week and forget about how great it was?
Yeah, look, I think you have to give a fair credit to our forwards. I mean, they worked really hard. They worked into space hard. But our midfield won the day. I think that was the main thing. I mean, your forwards can always look silly if your mids can't get it clean out of there, and they got it clean for us. Our forward line, you know, Trent Henschel's working really hard with them at the moment, and he's doing a good job. And we're popping up with multiple goal kickers, and that's what you need.
And Luke, I thought Stephen Tiller today, it was his best game. He's starting to get some match fitness behind him, very composed, used the footy really well off half-back.
Yeah, absolutely. Stephen's, obviously he came to the club as a big recruit and he hasn't been able to fulfil that at this stage. But, his last couple of weeks when Griggs was out last week, he came in and did a good job. Had a couple kicked on him, but he was solid. Today he played on the mid-sized player, and I thought that, his penetrating kick and his composure down back has been really, really important to the way that we played today.
Mick, I know you've got Craig Parry coming back from suspension. It probably works out he's played, one game in 9 weeks. How have you dealt with that, and does he come straight back?
Yeah, look, he'll come straight back in. He's too important a player for us. He needs some match fitness leading, to the later part of the year. I said to him he has to play the reserves and the league, but he wasn't too keen on that. But he just needs. We got, what have we got? 4 games or 3 games to go now. Yep. He needs to play them all. He needs to stay disciplined, and we need to get full 4-quarter efforts out of him so he can be ready for the first final.
Mick, congratulations today. Look forward to South Adelaide Friday night down at the drive-in. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
And with Mickey Godden talking, Chris Massey is still wandering and thinking. And for Mickey Godden, it's South Adelaide, West Adelaide and Port Adelaide to come. And for Glenelg and Chris Massey in his interim role, he's got West Adelaide next week, Port Adelaide, and then a bye to consider as they go into the finals.
Look, I think that's really important there, that he's just composed himself. He could have been really emotional and unrational when he went down and really given the players a spray. He's had a bit of a think with Ken McGregor, probably talked about the game, how we're going to react, and then go down and give just a controlled analysis of the game.
Let's look at some of the better players on ground. Certainly Luke Jarrett. He's enjoying his time across halfback now. And he was one of those players that Mickey Godden was talking about. Part of the midfield rotation. He had his time running off half-back. He's an excellent user of the ball. He kicks it long, but he makes good decisions as well.
Look, I think he complements this midfield really well, and he's so important out of half-back. Both him and McKenzie makes so many good decisions. But his run and carry, they haven't got a lot of leg speed in the middle. So he's actually very, very important to run and carry the footy. But he does penetrate with his kick. He runs and carries 20 metres, then he kicks at 50, 60. So the gain to the Eagles is 80 metres, and he does catch defenders and turns them around.
24 kicks, 7 hand passes this afternoon for Luke Jarrett. We're going to have a look at Luke Powell now. He's another one who very impressive, hard-working, as you say, compliment. On one side you got Jarrett, on the other side you got the inside player in Powell, who is a clearance king.
Well, look, I don't think Luke would be he'd be the first to admit that his skills are probably never going to be to the level of a McKenzie and in this competition. But just his work rate and his competitiveness, it stands him out. He works inside all the time. He continues to link up. He works and feeds the ball out. He's very vital to this midfield.
And he had 30 disposals this afternoon as well. As we go to the goal of the day, I think we called it very, very early. Chris Orr with this beautiful effort at, I think it was the 10-minute mark of the opening term. You're still not sure whether he actually was trying to centre it.
I think he'll say that he was trying to centre and it's come off that way. But look, the game was screaming out for an individual act and somebody to make something happen for the game at that stage. And look, it was a fantastic left foot snap under pressure.
Mark of the day as well from, we talked about Broadbent and his capacity to come back into a side that he knows well. This is just great. Matthew Broadbent just judged it, knew. I did see him take a look. He knew there was a player there, but he was prepared. Let's go.
Look, you see courage in football, and that's one of the courages you see in football is actually to keep your eye on the footy at all time. He didn't deviate, didn't know what was around him, just jumped at the footy, really sure hands. Didn't have his probably great day, probably didn't put his hand up to go play at the AFL the next week, but I think as a player and as a person, I think he's a very valuable member of this team.
Only 3 rounds left in the season, so these results very important. It was the Eagles comfortably, as we know, here in Port Adelaide last night. West Adelaide by 42 points over the Panthers. They snapped their 8-match losing streak. Of all places, down at Noarlunga, where the Panthers have been very, very good this season. I think they've only lost the Centrals down there this season before this afternoon, so 42 points the margin there. And Nord by 27 over North Adelaide, a big dent in the hopes of North Adelaide seeing some finals action. So the boys on the boundary, Sodas and Michael, very interesting results those this afternoon, primarily highlighted, I guess, by the Eagles against the Bays. And Michael, Chris Massey, interim coach, do they draw the line and say, Chris, we got to get better than that?
No, definitely. I think they've got to do that. It's just a poor performance, and I think they need to, I suppose, like Andrew said, just go back to the drawing board and bulk erase that one and start again.
It's amazing, isn't it, that they're probably still going to play finals footy, Glenelg, by the look of it. And given that Westies got up, I think Port Adelaide would be rubbing their hands together thinking that they might be a chance to sneak in as well. But I think from what we've seen today, I would think there's really only 3 clubs that are a chance at this stage.
Anything, as they say, is possible. There's no doubt about that. Let's talk about earlier today in the reserves. We talked to Darren Chandler about the program they have on the APY lands, the SANFL. Kieran Roberts, number 2, and Frank Amos, number 5. Impressive in their little cameos in reserves for the Eagles.
I thought this was fantastic. I reckon we should see a little bit more of this, Mark, as some players been brought into SANFL ranks and playing the reserves, and we see some brilliant skills. I saw a young bloke running around there in number 5 today, and that was him. And I thought, oh, that's Lee Treby's changed a bit. But, look, I thought it was just terrific. And I think if they can keep that going, that's good for the competition.
The boys did all right. I think Frank kicked 2 goals and Kieran kicked 1. But as Darren said at half-time, they've got to hop on the bus now for 14 hours to get back home. But they've done a great job. And from talking to the people at the Eagles here, they thought that they were sensational. They come with the right attitude. So good on them if they're given that opportunity. May see them do a pre-season. I think that's what they're going to work towards for this summer, and hopefully see the boys back here full-time next year.
Well, something different, Andrew, for football in this state, to have those 2 boys down from the APY lands. But also last night, the Women's League, which is going from strength to strength. Emma Sampson, the captain of the Port Adelaide club, getting home on the last round of the night. And she took away the best and fairest in the South Australian Women's League.
I think it's a noted that 50% of the supporters who support footy are women. So I think it's fantastic that, that they do that, but also, either reward the women and give them the opportunity to play this great game.
Boys, let's talk about David Piacenti. He's announced his retirement, of course, just the other day, and he was hoping that Westies might see their way through to the finals. He's played 145, 146 today, league games, hoping that he can reach his 150th, and he continues that trend with Lee Treby, of course, also announcing he'll retire at the end of the season.
Yeah, look, he's been a terrific player, the best part of the decade for the boys at Richmond. Had some problems with his knee and that over time. So, look, he's been a good servant at the club, and at a time when they've struggled a lot too, Mike. So, good on him. And look, I think Westies are really going to struggle to get that 5th spot. I would think at the moment that, I think South are probably still a good chance to get it, and North. But, yeah, don't think Dave's going to quite get to 150.
No, and I think that just needed to win some of those games. I mean, 8 on the trot. I mean, you almost don't deserve to make the finals if you're going to drop 8 in a row. But stranger things have happened. They've had a lot of injuries, but I think they're a little bit better than that West. They could have won one more, 2 more games. So, yeah.
Westies, North, Glenelg, all of these sides are now looking at 1984 and saying, what did Norwood do then? Came from 4th and 5th position in the elimination final to win the premiership. Next week, Port Adelaide against Central District, boys. It's been a long time between drinks for the Magpies. Well, it's been a long time since they played finals, but especially against Centrals, 10 games in a row, Michael.